Creatures of myth and legend? Perhaps we tend to think of the animal kingdom of today as relatively tame, but there was a time when Earth was a much more dangerous place. We're going to take a look at 5 extinct animals that terrified ancient humans. Viewer discretion is advised for this video, as some of this video may be offensive or disturbing. We, the makers of this video, in no way support or condone the actions of the subjects featured. This video is meant for educational purposes only. Number 5. The Short-Faced Bear. If you thought that the largest living land predator was scary enough, then what about an animal that stood almost twice as tall as a human on 2 legs? That was the case with the short-faced bear, which not only walked upright, but did so while chasing its prey. One of the most famous fossil examples of this animal can be found in the La Brea tar pits, and it dates back around 11,000 years. Standing up to 8 feet tall, this bear was as tall as some humans and weighed up to 1,500 pounds. But it wasn't just the sheer size of the short-faced bear that made it terrifying. It was also the fact that it could run like the wind. Experts believe that the short-faced bear was capable of running up to 30 miles per hour, meaning that it could easily outrun a horse. Imagine being chased through the forest by a gigantic bear that can run faster than you. That would definitely be a nightmare scenario for any early human. And yet the short-faced bear was a reality for thousands of years across North America. But luckily for us, it died out around 11,000 years ago at the end of the last ice age. Number 4. The terror bird. Most people might assume that humans were the apex predators of their time, but that wasn't necessarily true. In fact, the apex predator in certain areas of the world was a giant flightless bird known as the terror bird. There were many species of terror birds in South America, but one of the most impressive was the Forus racos, which stood up to 9 feet tall and had a massive hooked beak that was built for killing. The name Forus racos means running with a spear, and that's a pretty apt description of how this bird hunted. They would chase down their prey and then use their beaks to skewer them like a spear. The skull of the terror bird was actually designed to withstand powerful impacts, suggesting that they struck with incredible force. So, if you ever got on the wrong side of one of these birds, you wouldn't stand a chance. Luckily for us, these massive birds died out around 30,000 years ago, so we'll never have to worry about being skewered by a giant bird's beak. Number 3. The Sabertooth Cat. The Sabertooth Cat might seem like something out of a cartoon, but it was actually a real animal that lived during the Pleistocene epoch. This cat was larger than a tiger, and it hunted in packs, making it even more dangerous than today's big cats. But what really made the saber-toothed cat terrifying was its fangs. These teeth were up to 7 inches long, which is longer than a human hand. Just imagine if a saber-toothed cat decided to use your hand as a chew toy. You wouldn't stand a chance. The saber-toothed cat was also known to ambush its prey, meaning that its victims often didn't see it coming until it was too late. This is evidenced by ancient cave paintings which show scenes of humans fleeing from saber-toothed cats. It's clear that these cats were seen as terrifying predators by those who lived at the same time as them. And luckily for us, they died out around 10,000 years ago, so we'll never have to worry about being attacked by one of these furry monsters. Number 2. The Megalania. When you think of deadly Australian animals, you might think of things like snakes, spiders, and crocodiles. But did you know that there was once a giant lizard in Australia that was over 20 feet long? This animal was known as the Megalania, and it's thought to have been the largest lizard that ever lived. Megalania was a type of varannosaur, which is a group of reptiles that includes crocodiles and alligators. But unlike those animals, Megalania was a land dweller. The Megalania was first discovered in 1871, and since then, paleontologists have pieced together its history through the few fossils that have been found. These fossils suggest that the animal lived in Australia between 4 and 6 million years ago. According to legend, the Megalania was responsible for many deaths among the Aboriginal population, and some Aboriginal stories tell of a giant reptile that stalked humans. Maybe these stories weren't just fairy tales. Maybe they were actually based on encounters with the Megalania. After all, the animal was thought to be capable of taking down a kangaroo, which is no easy feat. The Megalania truly was a terrifying creature, but luckily for us, it died out millions of years ago. Number 1, the giant ground sloth. When you hear the word sloth, you probably think of a slow-moving, lazy animal that spends its days hanging upside down in trees. But did you know that there was once a giant ground sloth that roamed North and South America? The giant ground sloth was a mammal that lived during the Pleistocene epoch, and it was the size of a car. This massive creature was covered in thick fur and had claws the length of machetes. Just imagine being attacked by a giant sloth with those kinds of weapons. You wouldn't stand a chance. The giant ground sloth was a browser, meaning that it ate plants and probably spent its days looking for food. But don't let its herbivorous diet fool you. This animal was a force to be reckoned with. In fact, the giant ground sloth was so dangerous that it's thought to have been hunted by early humans. There are several fossil sites where bones of the giant ground sloth have been found alongside evidence of human activity. This suggests that our ancestors saw these creatures as a source of food, or perhaps they were trying to defend themselves against attacks. Whatever the reason, it's clear that the giant ground sloth was an important part of the prehistoric world. And without the giant ground sloth, our understanding of the prehistoric world would be incomplete. So next time you see a sloth hanging upside down in a tree, just remember that they used to be much larger and much more dangerous. Those are 5 of the scariest animals that ever lived. Now it's time for you to make your voice heard. Which animal do you think was the most terrifying? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks for watching. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for more content.